Hello everyone, PolishLynx here, and we're back with Narcissu side second again. The next day of recording, and the next day of uploading it. Well, obviously, we'll try again next time. Quickly, a decision came, even though she had been so determined to go up until now. Or perhaps if she didn't want to go. If it was after the morning rush ended, then it would be even easier riding the train without being seen. Or maybe she hadn't been serious to begin with. The sun was still high, and around now the shops in the marketplace were opening up. Well, since we've come all the way to the station, let's make a detour. As she spoke, Himeko-san wandered among the shops along the street. Looks like even though she gave up on riding the train, she didn't intend on going straight back to the hospital. Helplessly, I obeyed and followed after. As always, because of her pajamas, people would glance over, but it seems that Himeko-san herself didn't mind one bit. And then her feet stopped in front of one storefront. These clothes, very nice, aren't they? She touched a number of clothes decorating the front of the shop, but they were all 3D kinds of things. However you looked, they were meant for cute girls. They didn't really seem to fit Himeko-san all that much. You like these kinds? As if I don't have such girly interests. I had thought she would say that, but then she spread the clothing in her hands before me. Yeah, it suits you, Setsumi. Huh? Me? Well, you're always in sailor uniform, you see. I thought that maybe this sort of thing would suit you. Hey, should we buy this for you? This one piece? But you don't have to be polite. It's a present from One-san. I don't want it. It would have been a lie. For someone who only had a single sailor uniform, it was a very tempting proposition. And Himeko-san's clothes. I don't need them, this is my uniform, after all. With that, she pointed at her own pajamas. Then, I'm fine too. It's not like you have to go along with me. See, you can still choose. While I wanted to reply, I swallowed my words. It was said in her usual bright tone, but the words "can still choose." At that, I realized the very heavy meaning in them. Oh, I'm fine. What a pity, and I thought I'd definitely suit you. Well, if you change your mind, just say, I'll buy it for you anytime. After that, we wandered out in front of the station a while, ate ice cream together, and then headed back to the hospital. As we found similar clothes in other shops, she continued to say she'd buy them for me. But in the end, I kept refusing. The daytime had been so hot and hazy, but now in the huge sky the face of the moon peeked out. As usual, after eating dinner, I returned to my room and relaxed. By the window, washed and drying on a hanger, was the sailor uniform. While gazing at it, I suddenly thought about the time I had gone to school. Right now my health was good, so one could forget, but in reality, I was someone who's admitted in and out of hospitals. Already, over 2 years have passed since I've been away from the place called school. In that time, I had once thought about wanting clothes other than pajamas. There wasn't even any pressure from such a need. But today, just a bit, my heart swayed. Perhaps it would have been better had I admitted I wanted the clothes. But Himeko-san herself was stumbling in pajamas, and being the only one to get new clothing made me feel bad. Besides, that no matter where Himeko-san was in her pajamas, she was dignified. Compared to that, I always felt somehow sorry. like I'm somehow doing something embarrassing. I can't help it. Or maybe mother, who had stopped getting manicures and reddened her hands, or father who continued the long commutes in the same suit. If they saw me happily wearing cute clothing, perhaps too, both of them, it would be a joyous thing. But that, for me, I think would have been difficult. More than saying I had fries, it felt that difficult. Chapter 9 Catholic. And then, a few days before I noticed it was already entering mid-August. Nothing had particularly changed, and as always I was headed to Himeko-san's place. Setsumi-san? Hearing a voice I recognized, I turned around and the girl I had met before was there. Certainly, you are Himeko-san's... Yes, I'm her younger sister, Chihiro. As always, she spoke in a calm, well-mannered, gentle way. Unlike Himeko-san, if she, Chihiro-san, were said to be a helper or a Catholic, one would be surprised. Today, unlike the usual apron form seen at the hospital, she was in a white, cute one-piece dress that I thought was somehow her. Are you perhaps going there from here? Is Chihiro-san also? No, I have a place to go first, so... that's right. If it's alright, Setsumi-san, would you come along with me? I didn't know what was going on, but I continued walking behind Chihiro-san. Under the blazing sky, the two of us walked side by side along the street. Unlike Himeko-san, Chihiro-san spoke rarely. But somehow she was a person with an air about her, where just from being with her, one could feel at ease. And then, a little before the hospital, she turned left at an intersection where I normally didn't go. And at some point, as the area turned into a quiet residential neighborhood, look, it's there on the bend. The rolling sound of bells. What appeared before me was a large church. From long ago I knew there had been a church nearby, but this was the first time I had ever come to it. And by the way, the white building next to it is my house. Saying that, what she pointed out was a pretty house that gave off a serene feeling. The tall ivy-covered fence gave off a western atmosphere. It was probably obvious, but this being Chihiro-san's home meant that it was also Himeko-san's home. And then, following her urgings, I stepped into the church. The first church I'd entered, streaming from windows, dazzling bright light and vividly colored stained glass. It was the first time I'd visited here, and I felt it was very beautiful. Peaceful. Was that the word? The polar opposite of glaring gaudiness might have felt like this. But there's no one around, is there? Yes, because at this time, no one comes. With just the chance where Chihiro-san approached what looked like the altar, then, from her pocket, she took out what resembled Buddhist prayer beds, and quietly brought her hands together. This was that thing called prayer. On TV, I seen that the fingers were folded together, but this was like praying at the temple on New Year's, with just the hands brought together. And the thing she took out of her pocket, at first I had thought they were Buddhist beds, but looking carefully, it was a rosary. To me, everything was so fresh and new. This was, of course, the first time I'd seen any of this. Say, would you pray with me too? Me? It's alright? Yeah, it's not like offering a prayer requires some special rite. But what should I pray for? That's for each person, their freedom. Once again, bringing her hands together, Chihiro-san quietly closed her eyes. Imitating her, I put my hands together in the same way. In the soundless place, closing my eyes, it felt everything dissolved to nothingness. However, I felt it wasn't a fair instilling dark and emptiness, but a clear white that spread everywhere. But what in the world should I pray for, I wonder. Chihiro-san said I was free to choose, but for me, what I should be praying for was a difficult thing. Next to myself, I could hear the small whispers of Chihiro-san's voice, so small I couldn't make out the words, but I definitely felt she was praying for Himeko-san. By that so very seriously praying figure, I felt my reasoning wasn't that far off. Phew. Once again my eyes opened after some time, well just 30 seconds worth. When I looked next to me, Chihiro-san also seemed to be finishing up her praying. Say, Chihiro-san, he's a Catholic person, right? Yeah, that's right. Well, Catholic person is a bit of a strange way of saying it. Then your own son, Himeko-san, is different? Ona-chan says she's a fake Catholic and denies it, but as far as I know, she's a very devoted Christian. In her usual kind way of speaking, she answered. From the Himeko-san that I knew, I couldn't imagine it, but none other than the younger sister, Chihiro-san said, so it must be as she said. Well, shall we leave? Chihiro-san walked toward the entrance that we had come from. When I walked after in the same way, suddenly her feet stopped and she turned around. Ah, that's right. Setsumi-san, face this way. When I wondered what she was going to do, she once again placed her hands together. May the bountiful blessings and grace of the Lord be upon you. For my sake. Of course, I'm not a priest, so it's just a sentiment. After that we left the church and in front of the hospital we parted. For me, it had all been new experiences. Churches and Catholics. I don't really know much about them. All I knew was that I had confirmed that Chihiro-san was a very kind and good person. And also the Himeko-san that acted so coldly to her was apparently a devoted Catholic like her. Slightly late I came to the usual place, but for some reason I couldn't find Himeko-san in the hospital room or even the lounge. I wonder where she went. If you're looking for Himeko-san, she's in the courtyard. As I peered around, a nurse passing by spoke to me. It's hot, so tell her not to overdo things. Okay. When I looked, Himeko-san was in the middle of watering the flowers. Morning, Setsumi. It's hot today, isn't it? As she spoke, she held a hose single-handedly and was spraying the flowers with vigor. However, her outfit was the usual pajamas and slippers, and then, maybe to defend against sunstroke, on her head she wore a straw hat. That image was oddly comical and yet mysteriously seemed just like Himeko-san. To that Himeko-san I pointed to the place we planned both the other day. Have shoots come out already? It's impossible for it to happen that soon. Then she showed me a carefree smile. She had been called a devoted Catholic, but for her to have an air like Chihiro-san had praying in the church, at least to me, was unimaginable. The wilderness and the dry land shall be glad, the desert shall rejoice and blossom. Like the crocus it shall blossom abundantly and rejoice with joy and singing. Know it? There are words from the book of Isaiah. I shook my head. I didn't know, but it was probably from some kind of scripture. Just now, as I was having that thought, Himeko-san's sudden words surprised me. And then, while I was thinking about that, when I think about that, it's time to end the episode. So, see you in the next one. Bye.